What's up, Giants fans, Hub watchers, YouTube subscribers, Twitter and Instagram followers? It's your boy Noname coming at y'all finally with not just any Giants video, the Giants video of the year so far. My first 7-round mock draft for the NFL 2020 official draft for the New York Giants, focused specifically on them, where I will be going from round 1 to 7, going through each of the Giants' picks and who I think they should take. This is not who I think they will take, but it's who I think they should take, and it's the first one. I say that because I'm going to have another one out, which, depending on how this video performs, would decide how quickly the other one gets out, where in one of them I take a lineman, and in another one I take Isaiah Simmons. So you guys will find out in a couple seconds which one this is. But not only will it take some time because of depending how much of positive response I get on this one, but also because this video right here that I'm doing took a while. For both of them, I researched for both of them at the same time. It was a little over a month. I put a lot more time into it this year than I did last year. Also because semester being busy, crazy things going on in the world with the coronavirus and whatnot. You guys stay safe out there, by the way. Also, it's been a hectic midterm season for me. I spent the past 2 weeks doing midterms, which is why I'm planning on this video going up on Sunday. It might come out earlier, it might not. I'm planning for this to come out on Sunday, and right now it's a Wednesday. So because I plan to do a lot of heavy editing also, I want to make it, very nice. I want it to be one of the most presentable projects I've ever done so far on YouTube, and I hope you guys appreciate it because I put a lot of time and effort into this, not just on the research side, but on the editing side. I mean, to be honest with you, the easiest part is what I'm doing right now, recording, and then I'm gonna go into my own private hole and be on Adobe Premiere Pro for about 3 days straight and get it out to y'all. So I really hope that you appreciate it. Even if you didn't like it, please leave some constructive criticism down below. Like the video, share it, subscribe. That's really the only way that you guys could help me out, by liking and subscribing. So without further ado, let's get into it. Spent enough time on that already. So with I almost said sixth, with the 4th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, I have the New York Giants selecting Andrew Thomas, offensive tackle out of Georgia. Now listen, obviously this would be the mock draft where I have the Giants taking Andrew Thomas. My next one, they will be taking Isaiah Simmons, and they're kind of, who they take in the first round really does affect the way they go throughout the rest of the draft. So Andrew Thomas, he, in my opinion, the best offensive tackle out there right now. Going over my quick notes on him real quick: 6'5", 320 pounds, powerful run backing and pass protection, has experience at the left and right tackle, has great footwork and a high IQ. Listen, like I said, Thomas, in my opinion, is the best offensive tackle in this draft. He's dropped a little bit in the past couple weeks. I'm not sure why. Personally, I think it's just people trying to make their mock drafts interesting, because a lot of these mock drafts are going to very similar ways. Which is why I don't like doing a first round mock draft. I like doing for the whole thing. But he's been dropping, and there's not really a reason for him to be dropping. He had a good combine. He was great in college. He was coming into the 2020 year. He was the best offensive tackle out there. Everybody had him ranked as the best offensive tackle out there. He fit the Giants in the most perfect way compared to the other offensive linemen. And to me, he had the most impressive college career out of all the offensive linemen. I mean, from the moment he stepped onto the field as a freshman, I believe he was a 5-star recruit out of high school, and he's been one of the most consistently best offensive tackles in his, college career. He started all 15 games at right tackle his freshman year. Then moved to left tackle the next year, where he got all Associated Press, All-American, and first team All SEC honors for play in 13 starts. And he only missed one game in 2018 because of an ankle injury. And then the only game he missed this past year was the bowl game, because he wanted to prepare for the draft. Like I said, since he stepped onto the field, he's been one of the best offensive tackles in college. He plays so good. He's so tough on the field too. He reminds me a little bit of Jonah Williams from last year's draft because of the physical, the toughness that he has on the field. He's very competitive mentally too. This guy, when on the field, you notice the difference from him. He gets up into the second level when he can, and he blocks in the second level when he can. Like I said, going back to the run blocking, that's going to be something that's going to benefit Saquon tremendously. He is flexible enough. In fact, he is really flexible for an offensive tackle. At the hips, he has good hand placement. In fact, his hand size and, the weight that he puts into it, upper body strength and lower body strength, can push back powerful defenders. And, the flexibility helps him keep up with the speed defenders. So, all in all, I think he's the best offensive tackle in the draft, and I think he's the best fit for the Giants. Because if we take him, we could place him at either left or right tackle. Whatever way we place him at, I think he's going to be good. I think it would be better to place him at right tackle for now and then shift him over to left when Solder is gone. But if we take this guy, we have a tackle for the next 10-15 years. Somebody that could both protect Daniel Jones and help Saquon Barkley in the run game. Next up, in the second round, with the 4th overall pick in the second round, the New York Giants select Zach Bond, edge rusher out of Wisconsin. Coming in at 6'3", 240 pounds with explosive speed off the edge and a lot of flexibility, nice side-to-side range and run support, and he knows how to study the offense because he was once the QB. Zach Bond, he will be the best available edge rusher in the second round, as there have been a lot of links with Yetur Gross-Matos to the Seahawks and Julian Okwara to the Patriots. Two guys that could very well go in the first. I expect one of them to go in the first. They've both been rising, and Bond will be there in the second. If it is Julian Okwara in the second, which I think will happen, I will choose Zach over Julian because of the following reasons. Listen, out of those three guys, he's the smartest. Much like his former teammate and hopefully future teammate in Ryan Connolly, the football IQ in these guys out of Wisconsin is simply amazing. They're really becoming one of the known schools for producing linebackers now. This guy, watch him on the field. He's consistently watching the quarterback, consistently looking at the offense, and it's almost like he's predicting what they're gonna do before they do it. At least with the quarterback. And it's the same thing with Connolly, but this is not about Connolly. This is about Zach right here. It's what allows him to get to the quarterback as successfully as he does get to the quarterback. And I believe that's a mixture of him. Like I said, he once played at the quarterback position, I believe, when he first came into Wisconsin, and a little bit in high school before he was shifted to linebacker. So he does have a little bit of background knowledge there that definitely helps him out. But he uses his talents and his, the study of his work to his advantage. His hand technique, once again, a lot like Andrew Thomas, whose hands are impressive. Bond uses the hands really well. There's almost never like a penalty called on him, whether it's like hands to the face mask or something like that, because he knows where to place them, and the length of his hands, while a little bit short, a little bit shorter compared to what you would want for a linebacker, he uses them effectively enough. Like, he has an amazing chop at the line of scrimmage when he comes off. And I like the way he moves for his size. 240, that's a nice enough size right there. Not too big, not too small. And yet he's very, very twitchy, very explosive at that size. A nice, scary combination for opposing offenses, to be honest with you. I mean, if there's one thing I must address, it is that this past season was his standout season. So in terms of consistency, you're not looking at much. This was a season where he finally had above 10 sacks with 12.5. I believe he led his team. But I guess a retort to that would be that his first year he was a redshirt linebacker because he was shifting from quarterback to linebacker. And then the year after that, I believe there was an injury. So I think that Zach has a potential to be a great linebacker because he's still very early on in his career at that position, but he's performing amazingly well. And with the right environment, with the right coaching, I really think he's gonna fit well into Patrick Graham's system because this guy has a little bit of versatility, and he could play middle linebacker too. Also, you know what I'm saying? And that knowledge, that inside knowledge from being a QB at one point, will help him out a lot. I believe he's gonna be a great fit with the Giants. Next up in the third round, and this is our comp pick. Pick 34 in the third round, the New York Giants select Logan Wilson, linebacker out of Wyoming, coming in at 6'2", 241 pounds. The quick points for y'all: very smart, quick thinking. He's great in zone defenses and tackling, has a high motor, and versatile as he was a former defensive back. Listen, Logan Wilson is probably my favorite pick that I have mocked out in the draft here, and I wouldn't be surprised if this guy goes somewhere in the second round or even late first. In my opinion, he's probably the most underrated linebacker in the entire draft class. Go look at some tape. I'll say that, but I also have some tape running in the background. Listen, This guy, another really smart player, and you're gonna notice a trend here. A lot of the players that I have mocked to the Giants fit, you know, the new I guess look of them that they're going for. High football IQ, great in the locker room, you know, great personality, but also very versatile and, you know, very good at what they do. A lot of it is hard work more so than talent, and talent goes a long way. But I believe this, you know, the guys that I'm mocking here fits the characteristics that the front office is looking for and Joe Judge is looking for. And getting back to Logan Wilson, he is one of the smarter linebackers of the class. Not in that, you know, top-notch smartest, but he's a smarter one. Speaking on the versatility, I'll get that right quick. He was a former defensive back and wide receiver in high school. So he played both on the offensive and defensive side, much like a Zach Bond did. But what does this spell for us? Well, we can finally get a middle linebacker who can, you know, actually play coverage. And this guy knows his coverages. Let me read off his stat line of his last year at Wyoming. 104 tackles, 9.5 of them for a loss, 1 sack, 3 interceptions, 6 pass breakups, and 13 starts. If we can get this guy and help him develop more, and even, you know, just transfer that right there, that lineup of stats to the Giants in the pros, we're set at middle linebacker. Obviously, I know Isaiah Simmons is a better player than him in the first round, but that's for my next draft video. I believe if we go the offensive tackle route, Logan Wilson is somebody to look at in the third round and even the second round. Because of his experience at defensive back and wide receivers, he reads wide receivers really well. You know what I'm saying? It's a reason for him being so good in coverage, along with, of course, being a defensive back. But like Zach Bond knows what the quarterback does before he even does it, Logan Wilson knows the routes of these receivers because he knows how to study them. He, of course, was in their position at one point, and he's really good at reading routes and trying to, you know, I guess, anticipate these routes. Excuse me. I'm sure in the tape I'm going to put up, you're going to see one of the interceptions where this guy literally just jumps the route at the perfect time. A lot of his plays are not like right time, right place. It's more so, hey, I studied it, I know what's going to happen, and I'm gonna intercept it. Another thing the Giants will finally get that we haven't had in a while is a player that can actually tackle. He's really good at wrapping up his tackles. He got the fundamentals down, you know, really nicely, but also his size at 241 and 6'2" helps him out a lot there too. I mean, I really like a lot of things about him. His motor is always running hot, never gives up on a play. Feet always churning, kind of like a Saquon, but that's on the other side of the ball. And he doesn't just shine in pass coverage. I believe his strength is actually in run defense. He's really good at, you know, jumping into those holes that the offensive linemen be opening up and getting to the running back. So essentially, in a Logan Wilson here, we're getting, like I said, one of the most underrated linebackers in the class, and somebody that can do everything. He can cover the pass for you. He can cover the run for you. You can put him out on a tight end, and he could actually keep up. You can put him at the Mike or the Sam. He can do a lot of things for this football team. And I'm going to say it once again, man, don't be surprised if he's gone earlier than the third round, because I think he's super underrated, and he might be jumping up board soon. Now coming into the fourth round with pick 4, the Giants take Jake Hansen, center out of Oregon, another one of my favorite picks. Quick notes first, he's 6'5", 295 pounds, very smart and chatty before snapping the ball, has great hand placement and is quick on his feet, was a 4-year starter and works great with good offensive guards. Now, a lot of things about Jake Hansen match up well with the Giants. The fact that he was a 4-year starter, never missed a start, extremely durable. At our center position, we haven't had like a whole season starter in a while. I'm not sure if Jalapio did start the entire season this past season. I don't know. Personally, I don't really care. You know why? Because I've said it for a while now. We need a new center, and Jalapio's not cutting it. And we might address this need in free agency. There's definitely a couple guys Giants can tackle out there, but in this scenario, we don't. And Jake Hansen is a really good replacement. Has the potential to be a long-time starter for us. I believe he could come in, and I believe he'll be good for the first year. I don't know if he'll be good after that. You know what I'm saying? Most of these players, if not all of them, are all about untapped potential. But I think he's going to be fine in the Giants system because he works great with good offensive guards. And it just so happens that the best players on our offensive line right now are the offensive guards. Now, Jake is really good because he's an athlete at his size, and he is kind of undersized for center. I would like him to be a bit bigger, maybe gain another 10 or 20 pounds or so of muscle, but that could be a detriment because he's pretty smooth at, where he's at right now. He's very quick on his feet and very flexible, and he adjusts to his angles nicely to oncoming defenders. He knows how to turn and pivot. He knows how to shift momentum. He knows how to close up the gap if there's an opening in it with any defensive tackles, linebackers, whatever the case is that might be coming through the hole. And even though he's undersized, like I said, a little bit, he still plays very confident against bigger guys that's coming up against him. You can't tell that he's smaller because of just the air of confidence around him when he plays. And like I mentioned, he's very chatty before the snap. Now, this is not something that would necessarily really be a plus in the NFL. I mean, in college, I know centers are definitely a lot more talkative. I don't know too much about the college football game. All right, like I've said that many times, I don't watch college football, but I do know that in some cases, the center, they're the guys that calls the plays and whatnot. Sometimes that happens in the NFL. I believe if it does, and even if it doesn't, he'll be a great addition on the line to be talking trash to the Cowboys defensive lineman or the Eagles defensive lineman coming up against us, getting in their head a little bit. But because he's chatty before the snap, because he does a lot of talking, he knows how to multitask well. He's an extremely hard worker, like almost everybody else on this list. And he works really well with guards, whether it's, just working beside them or on a double team. Like, the best place to spot this guy at is next to a guard, whether it's a slide protection, whether it's a double team, whether he's focusing a bit on the left side with some help, whatever the case is. Whenever he's next to a guard, he performs really, really well. And like I said, that's the strength of our offensive line. So I think he could fit in well, but there is a negative. And I guess from this round onwards is where I'm going to start addressing the negatives. He needs to get bigger a little bit. I said it before, he definitely needs to add some weight because bull rushers can get the best of him. The power rushers, they can get the best of him. And he should, add a little bit more stockiness to, his bottom half. I believe his upper body strength is good enough, but he definitely needs something more in the lower body to withstand, the oncoming force of, say, somebody like a Fletcher Cox or something, But possible multiple year starter, I believe he would be fine for us in the first year. We'll see where it goes from there. Next up, in round 5 with the 4th pick, the New York Giants select Jeremy Chin, safety out of Southern Illinois, coming in at 6'3", 219 pounds. Consistent. Every year he has at least 3 interceptions and 5 deflections. He tracks the QB's eyes and he's always attacking the ball. He's a good run defender and he has great closing speed. Let me get into Chin real quick. Now, I don't know how the Giants are going to tackle the safety position this offseason, but I know for a fact they're going to try and do it. Whether it's they're going to stick with Julian Love at free safety, or whether it is they're going to go out in free agency and sign a better veteran than Antoine Bethea to come in and do it, or they go into the draft and do it. For all we know, they could use the second round pick and go with like a Grant Delpit or Xavier McKinney, the 2 best safeties in this class. Whatever the case is, I think they will, and to be honest, they should go and address the safety position. We're okay now at strong safety with Jabril Peppers, but this is going to be kind of an unpopular opinion, and you guys may disagree with me, some of you may agree with me. I'm not sure how long more Peppers has on the Giants, on the New York Giants team. He definitely has to show out a little bit this year. I'm not asking for like a crazy, like 7+ interception year or anything, but he definitely has to show out more than he did last year, and that is attributed to the fact that he was injured last year. He has to stay a bit more healthy. He has to show that he has an impact on the team. He has to show something that basically makes him worth keeping whenever his contract runs out, because I think he was selected in the 2016 draft. So his contract runs out either at the end of this year or the end of next year, whatever the case is. Peppers was a first-round pick, and he's a good safety. He's better than average, so he's going to demand a lot of money. But he has to prove for us that he belongs here. And Jeremy Chin is somebody that I would bring in for a free safety, but he has the potential to play strong safety. Somebody else I considered at this pick and even at our round 4 pick was Geno Stone out of Iowa. Man, that is one of the best safeties in this class, man. He's going to go somewhere in that 3rd to 5th round placement, but you guys go look at Geno Stone, man. He's run really smart and hard-hitting safety, and if we were to replace Jabril Peppers with somebody, would be him. But let me get into Jeremy Chin. I've ignored him long enough. He's been up on the screen. Let me talk about him a little bit. Jeremy has the size and ability to keep it up with the best of the best in the NFL. And you guys might be saying, if he has that, there's no way he's going to the 5th round. Well, a little interesting I noticed while scouting him out is that he's being mocked all over the place. He's being mocked from like the 2nd all the way down to the 7th round. And there's good reason to that, which I'll get into with the negatives. But the potential is there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's at a linebacker size, basically. He has great man coverage skills, can keep up with most receivers, not all of them. Like I said, his speed is more so catching up with them than actually keeping pace with them, if that makes sense. It's his closing speed on receivers that's impressive. His height and his size, he can really be an imposing figure on them. He's usually winning matchups, winning the size matchup in 50-50 balls if he's ever put in that situation because of it. And he's at his best when he's always actively engaged. That's why I said he is always tracking the QB's eyes and he's always attacking the ball, because that's when he's at his best. If he's just on the field and he's not really doing anything, he's just standing around, whatnot, he doesn't, and this is kind of a negative, his attention tends to sway a little bit. That's what I've noticed. But when he's engaged, when his mind is out there, when he's actually using the knowledge that he garnered through all the practices and all the film study, he's one of the more dangerous safeties in college football. Like, a lot of his interceptions, just like Logan Wilson, a lot of his interceptions have been from just him being a good football player rather than being lucky. A lot of it is him anticipating, a lot of it is him knowing what the quarterback is going to do, or just, recognizing something from film. And that leads into his run defense too. Because of his size and his speed, he is able to keep up with a lot of running backs. And his tackling ability is great. We could get another good tackler in here for the Giants defense. I can't tell you how many times over the past 2 or 3 years I've been, screaming at my TV because guys on the Giants just don't know how to tackle anymore. Well, guess what? He is also one of the better tacklers in college football. Always wraps up, always uses his weight and his length to help drag them down. If he tackles you, you're usually not getting out, right? Of course, that's not with all players, but that's with most players. Another reason other than, his football IQ as to why he could be a good fit for the Giant is his versatility. I mean, even at SIU, he was used in multiple ways in their defensive scheme. And even because of his size, we could have him out there even in some linebacker looks. We could have him out there as like a slot cornerback. We could have him out there as a strong safety, as a free safety, even as a cover linebacker. If, there's a play that's going to be focusing heavy on the tight end, he has the ability to be playing almost anywhere on the field. I know for a fact that's going to catch Joe Judge's and Patrick Graham's eyes, whether or not they're targeting him or they just, think he'd be a good fit. His versatility, his size, his football IQ, and his consistent production, like I've said at the beginning, at least 3 interceptions and 5 pass deflections a year. That's a good amount for a safety. Jeremy Chin, if we get him in the 5th round, will be a great pick. And it's definitely a possibility. I almost forgot to go over the cons a little bit. It's definitely a possibility because he could slip because of the following reasons. Like I said, he can, when he's not actively engaged, he tends to not pay attention to the plays as much. I'm not sure what the reason for that is, but he's not as instinctive as he could be. I'm saying? If you're just on the field and you're not really supposed to be part of the play like that, you should still be, paying attention. That goes to your instincts and whatnot as to what could possibly happen. He is baited at times, when receivers are cutting out or they're faking a turn and whatnot. He sometimes get baited a little bit more than I would like for him to get baited. But I think he definitely has the ability to fix that because he's definitely up there in football IQ for safeties. Right. But he needs to work on putting his head up and keeping his head straight. This goes to like the, I forgot what it's called. I think it's roughing the receiver. I'm not sure. But if your helmet is down and you tackle somebody in NFL now, it's been like this for about the past 2 years, you're going to get a flag on you because they want you to tackle with your eyes forward, with your eyesight forward. They want to see it clearly be shown that you're tackling with your shoulder instead of your head. He's definitely going to need to get that up when he's in the NFL. And in the 6th round with the 4th pick, the New York Giants select Benjamin Victor, wide receiver out of Ohio State, coming in at 6'4", 199 pounds, a guy who's really tall and uses his size to get the high point on the ball, large catch radius because of his wingspan, and he occasionally lays out for the ball, and he has the ability to stop on dime during routes considering his size. Now I will say I did consider another receiver here, that being James Porsche out of SMU. And James Porsche at around the 6th, 5th, 7th rounds as a receiver I would really look into getting. But he doesn't fit for the Giants. Specifically for other teams he'd be a good fit. But he wouldn't do well on the Giants because we already have 2 very, very similar receivers in Sterling Shepard and Golden Tate. But James Porsche is a really good receiver, guys. Go check him out. Extremely good route runner. Has a little bit of big playability in him and very fast. But Benjamin Victor, not to talk him down at all. First things first, his size. he comes onto the field for the New York Giants, and I think he's automatically the tallest receiver we have. He would be the tallest receiver, the biggest receiver we've had in a long time. I would like for him to add on a little bit more weight. Even when you look at him on field, you don't need to actually know his actual weight. Just look at him on field and you can see that he's a little bit skinny. He's not frail or anything. I would just like a bit more muscle on him, get a bit more size on him, both to prevent injuries and also to impose himself on defensive backs and any safeties and any other defenders that might be on him. Now, he loves to use his body to his advantage, and that's amazing. Imagine this guy with Daniel Jones running down there. He is a big play threat. And Jones, all Daniel has to do is high point the ball a little bit, and Ben Victor is probably the only person on the field that could get to it because of his size. You know what I'm saying? Add on a 35-inch vertical that he showed off at the combine to a 6'4" frame and a big old wingspan. You just high point that ball a little bit, and he's really the only receiver on the team that can get to it. And that's the way Ohio State loved to use him, when he was playing there. Now, he didn't really have any standout seasons at Ohio State because he's behind guys like Terry McLaurin and I think Paris Campbell and all those receivers that performed extremely well at Ohio State. I believe for Ben's freshman year, he was basically riding the bench. He didn't really get to shine at all until like a little bit of last year and this year, and even then he didn't exactly seize his opportunity, or whatever the case is. Maybe he wasn't used well enough in the offense. He's never had a breakout season at the college level, and that's not what I would be drafting him for at the Giants. Like, for our Giants team right now, I believe Darius Slayton is going to be our breakout receiver, possible number one in the future. Who knows? That's why I said possible. But Ben Victor can be our big body wide receiver, our big play wide receiver, and Darius Slayton has that big play ability in him. Why it doesn't hurt to add another outside receiver that can get down there. Ben is not very, it's not like he has blazing speed or anything. He's fast, but no type of blazing speed. Mostly he gets down the field because of his long legs more so than, the smoothness he runs with than actual speed of it. But Ohio State used him as a big play receiver. I mean, this guy averaged, I think, like 16 yards per catch at Ohio State, and averaged a touchdown for every like 4.5 catches that he made. So they used him a lot in the red zone. I mean, he's an easy red zone target to get the ball to anyway. And I believe he can match up really well with Daniel Jones. Give him a big receiver that he could throw through. I talked about the ability to stop on the dime. For his size, I find it impressive. It's usually guys around, the size and makeup of Sterling Shepard, physical and mental makeup, the type of receivers they are that you see stopping on a dime and whatnot. But he's very good at route running. He ran a lot of different route trees at Ohio State. He has really good control, flexibility, and fluidity over his body. Really a nice amount of positives to talk about here. Obviously the cons, because there is going to be cons. Like I said, I would like for him to add some more weight. I don't like that he's as light and as skinny as he is. It leads to the potential of injury, and he knows how to take a fall. He does know how to take a fall, but I would like for him to get, a little bit more bulked up. He does not perform well against press coverage, which is very surprising considering his size up against, cornerbacks that are pressing on him. But he really gets bullied essentially whenever he's in press coverage. He needs to be a little bit more explosive off the snap, not to say that he's completely like a slot or anything like that, but I would like for him to be a bit more explosive off the snap, a bit more quick, a bit more twitchy off of it. And sometimes, he's a bit slow to track and locate the football in the air, which is something that's very fixable. Many people don't notice. I covered it last offseason with Darius Slayton. One of his problems, or his two main problems, were tracking the football and actually holding on to the football. And obviously those were fixed by our amazing wide receivers coach in Tyke Tolbert. I think he can work on Ben Victor a little bit too, and maybe we got another big play receiver out there. Not saying he's number one. Maybe he could be a good number two, number three option. We'll see. Now then, since I'm coming up on the 7th round, both because this video is already over 30 minutes long and because it's the 7th round, I will only go over the quick facts and show a little bit of the tape to you guys. So with pick 4 in round 7, we go Keandre Jones, linebacker out of Maryland, coming in at 6'3", 220 pounds. He was the most consistent player on his team's defense. He always studied the tape. He was a backup at Ohio State before transferring to Maryland, so he does have some big play experience. And he was a player that played for the team's success. He was a leader on that team, and he was always playing for their interests rather than his own. I believe we might double dip at some positions. Linebacker is certainly one of them, as we're not exactly, strong at the position right now. Next up, and these next 2 7th round picks will be the possible comps that we get. Pick 24 in the 7th round, Devin Asiasi, tight end out of UCLA, coming in at 6'3", 265 pounds. Obviously, just by the size, he has absurd size and height and weight combination. Always a mismatch for defenses, and he's surprisingly speedy and athletic for his size. Devin Asiasi, a tight end that we could get in here to play a potential backup role. With Elson being gone, with Evan Ingram possibly being traded, and he could form a nice duo there with Caden Smith, a nice 1-2 punch. I love this guy's size and the way he performs at that size. Like I said, 265, that's absolutely huge, bigger than some pass rushers. Will be great in, pass protection and run blocking, and he does have a good, nice catchability to him. And finally, with our third 7th round pick, the second 7th round comp pick. I might have said mock pick instead of comp pick earlier, you guys. I think you figured out right now is going to be our comp picks. We're going Michael Warren, the second running back out of Cincinnati. It's no secret that the Giants are looking for a new backup for Saquon Barkley, and everybody knows it needs to be a tough type of running back that could run through the tackles. Michael Warren is that dude, standing at 5'11", 222 pounds. He was a workhorse back at Cincinnati. He had 1,000 yards his last season. He can take the hits, and he stays on his feet well, good at balance, good at running through the tackles, like I said, great at yards after contact, and a good pass blocker. Really, essentially everything that we want for a backup running back for Saquon, to take a little bit of the heat off of him, take a little bit of the weight off of him, and we could have Michael Warren out here. Wayne Gallman isn't really cutting it because he's very too much similar to Saquon. He's not that workhorse, that punching bag of a back that we kind of need, and Michael Warren can be that dude for us. But that's it for now. I mean, it's an extremely long video. My 7-round mock draft for the New York Giants for the 2020 draft. Let me know what you guys think. Like I said, I spent a lot of time of it. Any criticism is welcome as long as it's constructive. If you loved it, let me know. What do you think about my picks? What do you think about the positions I went? Let me know everything in the comments down below. Please like the video, share, and subscribe. It helps me out a lot. I won't keep you guys much longer. I'm out. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Put your comments down below. Make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. Until next time, I'm out.